Allez, demi-tour.
Ethan!
The movie begins at CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, where Agent Vivi DeLay meets with the CIA director and another official to discuss their target, Wolfgang Braun, known as the Wolf. He is involved in selling weapons to terrorists alongside his associate, the albino. Vivi is assigned to eliminate both of them and asks who the agency has on the ground. The answer, Ethan Renner. Ethan is in a Paris hotel with fellow agent Yasmin, preparing to capture the albino, who is making a deal with Serbian buyers. Ethan has already killed the buyers and seamlessly exchanges briefcases containing secret codes with the albino. As he heads to a van to pass them to other agents, his phone reminds him that it's his daughter Zoey's birthday. He rushes to a payphone, using his watch as collateral for change, and calls her, only to reach voicemail. Inside the hotel, the albino recognizes Yasmin and drags her into an elevator, using it to decapitate her. A shootout erupts as his men attack the agents in the van. Ethan pursues the albino, taking down his men along the way, but suddenly begins to feel weak and dizzy. Just as he catches up, he collapses but manages to shoot the albino in the foot before losing consciousness. Ethan wakes up in a hospital, where a doctor informs him that he has terminal cancer, with only 3 to 5 months left to live. Returning to his apartment, he discovers a refugee family has taken up residence. The father, Jules, welcomes him warmly, explaining their situation. When Ethan tries to evict them, he learns that doing so could get him arrested. Instead, he allows them to stay until the eldest daughter gives birth. Ethan contacts his ex-wife, Tina, asking to meet urgently. They reunite to finalize his will, where he reveals his diagnosis but insists Zoey must not find out. Tina agrees to let Ethan see Zoey, on the condition that he completely leaves his CIA work behind. Ethan accepts. Meeting Zoey at her school, their interaction is strained. She introduces him to a boy named Hugh, who is polite but cautious around Ethan. Hoping to bond with her, Ethan gifts Zoey a purple bike, thinking it's still her favorite color. Uninterested, she opts to take the metro with her friends, leaving Ethan to ride the bike himself. Vivi approaches Ethan, showing him his watch from the hotel and dropping Zoey's name to get his attention. She offers him a deal, work for her in exchange for an experimental drug that could prolong his life. Initially refusing, Ethan reconsiders upon hearing the job, tracking down and killing the wolf. Their first mission leads them to a hotel, where Vivi claims only one target is inside. However, Ethan finds 5 men and ends up killing them all. In an elevator, he negotiates his terms, $50,000 and a $1 million life insurance policy. Vivi agrees and administers a dose of the drug. Meanwhile, the albino hands Ethan's photo to an unknown man, marking him as a target. Ethan arrives at Zoey and Tina's apartment and panics when he hears Zoey screaming. Breaking down the door, he finds her simply upset over a bad haircut. Tina, frustrated that Ethan is hours late for dinner, decides to hire a sitter for Zoey while she's away on business. Ethan insists on looking after her instead. Soon after, Ethan experiences severe dizziness and hallucinations, calling Vivi for help. She advises drinking vodka to counteract the drug's side effects. The next day, Zoey, sporting a red wig, playfully changes Vivi's contact name to I don't care in Ethan's phone. She still refuses to ride the bike to school. Vivi provides Ethan with the agreed payment and reminds him to keep his heart rate low. His next target is Mithat Yilmaz, a car dealer. Ethan confronts him, knocks out his staff, and waits in his office. Just as he's about to take Mithat to his apartment, Zoey's school calls, she's in trouble. Ethan drags Mithat along, locking him in his car trunk. At school, Ethan learns Zoey punched a classmate. He calmly asks, open palm or clenched fist? Later, Zoey explains she defended a Pakistani girl from bullying. Ethan approves, seeing it as an effective way to handle bullies. When Mithat starts causing a commotion in the trunk, Ethan punches it to silence him, alarming Zoey, who storms off. However, she later apologizes and invites Ethan to meet her at a theme park. Despite his ongoing mission, Ethan prioritizes Zoey, taking her on the flying chairs ride and sharing hot chocolate. She later heads to study with a lab partner while Ethan encounters an armed attacker in a store. Surviving the ambush, he finds the assailant carrying a photo of him. Checking Zoey's computer, Ethan notices she plans to visit a place called Tattoo Gallery. Concerned, he follows her trail and learns about Spider, a nightclub. Inside, he finds Zoey drinking with friends. When three men harass her, Ethan, despite his dizziness, springs into action, beating them up and escorting Zoey home. The next morning, Zoey wakes up with no memory of the night. When Ethan insists she ride her bike to school, she tearfully reminds him he never taught her. He spends the morning teaching her, winning over bystanders. During their bonding time, she admits she hit the girl at school because she liked Hugh. Ethan later meets Hugh when he picks Zoey up for school. Ethan tracks down the albino's accountant, Guido, extracting crucial information about explosives linked to the wolf. During a call, Zoey asks Ethan for a vegetarian recipe to impress Hugh, leading Guido to dictate a spaghetti sauce recipe over the phone. That night, Jules's daughter goes into labor, and Ethan helps her deliver a healthy baby girl, whom they name after him in gratitude. Despite Jules offering to move out, Ethan insists they stay, but the family prefers a smaller home. Returning home, Ethan learns Hugh invited Zoey to prom, but she's hesitant due to not knowing how to dance. Ethan teaches her, just as Tina arrives and watches emotionally. Later, Tina urges him to tell Zoey the truth about his illness. That night, they reconnect intimately. The next morning, Vivi informs Ethan that the albino is at the Grand Hotel. He tracks him down, chasing the criminals through the streets before forcing their car off a footbridge. The wolf and the albino escape into the subway, where Ethan, growing weak again, nearly falls victim to the albino. Just in time, he pushes the albino onto the train tracks, killing him, while the wolf flees. Ethan regains consciousness in Vivi's care, who reveals that his treatment is showing positive results. Later, Ethan and his family visit Hugh's parents. To his shock, Hugh's father's business partner is none other than the wolf. The two men share an uneasy handshake. During dinner, gunfire erupts, and Ethan hunts down the wolf, eliminating his men before cornering him in an elevator. After cutting the wires, the elevator plummets, but the wolf survives. As Ethan struggles to pull the trigger, Vivi arrives and executes the wolf herself. Sometime later, Ethan moves to a beachside home with Zoey and Tina. As he sets up a Christmas tree, he reflects on how he never expected to live this long. Tina arrives, and Ethan admits he regrets not always being there for them. Zoey invites her inside for hot chocolate, and as Ethan steps into another room, he finds a box from Vivi containing a syringe and a note wishing him a Merry Christmas, confirming he now has the drug to continue living with his family.